Hello, welcome to the Effortless Building Mod Spotlight. I'm going to try and go through the entirety of this mod in this video. So we click the plus key on the right hand side of the keyboard. We're going to get this menu and we're going to go for an array. So we're currently looking in the positive X direction. So we're going to place one block in front of us and we're going to do no copies. So that's going to place a block in front. Now if we go back, we can say, well actually I want to have more copies than that. So we could perhaps press shift and say we want 20 copies instead. And that is going to do 20 copies. Depending on the offset, we're going to get some different things. So for instance, say we put this to 1 as well. It's going to give us 20 copies and we're going to get a diagonal line. We could also do something like this, do an offset of 2. So you can see it's going to put a gap there. And then we could put, say, a different block in the middle like that. Okay, let's turn the array off and look at some of the other options now. Okay, so now let's look at this one, mirror enabled. So here you can see we've got a mirror. Now generally you're going to want to put this, set the mirror position to the current player position. You can see we're mirroring in the X plane here. So what this does, it does that, and also if you take a look at the actual length of the mirror here, you can see if I put the radius lower here, you can see it's going to do a smaller one. And what this will let you do, place a block here. So I could then combine that with the array. Okay, we'll switch to a larger radius actually. And so what I want to do is you can see we've got a count of 5 and again we're going to do the offset of 2. So you can see the 5, that's going to be from 0 to 5. So it's going to be 6 blocks on that side and then 6 blocks on that side. Now we're going to hold down left alt and we're going to go to circle. You'll also notice we can choose the corner or the middle, hollow or filled. So we can do corner or middle. We'll try hollow. You can see as we move away, that's going to create a circle there. There's some other really cool ones, like for instance the slope floor. Let's take a look at this one. So I'm going to click once. And when we do a second click is when it will go 3D. So we take a look here. So we can get that in position. And we can get 3D. Let's try a cylinder now. Again, we're going to choose our position. And we can build up the cylinder. Like so. Okay, so we're on normal mode now, and we're going to go for the radial mirror this time. And we're going to go to the ground, and we're going to set the radial mirror to current position. We're going to do show lines and show area. So now what you can see is we have a 4-way radial mirror. So what does that mean? As you can see, we place a block. So what we could do is we could combine this. Say we go back to our array. Let's try that 1 and 1 again. And we'll do a smaller count here. That way you see you can actually get a good way to do a diamond sort of shape here. So what if we could do maybe, we could look into the center here. You see there's different options by the way for each of the different things. So for this one, short edge and long edge. So we can choose where we want the short edge to be. Actually, I think I put it the other way around, don't I? So that's one way you could do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for long edge here. I'm going to put that into position there. So you get something like that. Let's have a look, see how that looks. Not ideal, not ideal. But you can sort of see the amount of stuff that you could potentially do. It's because as it goes through each quadrant, it's rotating by 90 degrees. Certainly if you do like a mirror though, with reflection in X and Z. You get something like that, right? So that could be beneficial. Let's try with a wall, see how we get on with that. So obviously you can see that as you build up, it's pretty straightforward to build. You know, increasingly complex shapes. Part of the real power as well with this mod is that you can go, for instance, we can increase the number of slices. Go back into normal mode. You can see if we look at the center point here, you can see how the blocks are becoming spaced out as you go further. Let's try a sphere like this. See how the complexity increases. So you can see doing a higher number of slices is pretty handy. Let's try something like this. Build that up. So yeah, you can see we've got a interesting structure internally, right? With obviously uniform things going on there. Okay, so we looked at like some fun stuff there, but let's look at the more serious building stuff. So say we want it, this is going to be like a common theme, right? You want to have it at 4, 0, 0, and then say count of 4. Let's do a count of 10 just to illustrate this point a bit better. So you need to use it in conjunction with this, right? So we want the wall, and we're going to stick with field actually. Just it doesn't necessarily matter for this one, but this is what happens, right? Okay. So look what happens. You can see that we're going to be placing the blocks at a certain distance apart here, right? So we'll go up. And that is generally, when you're building a wall, you do want it to be something like that, right? You want it to be equidistant apart. So then you could go in with this. So then you could go in with these. And you could build the wall like that, right? So that is generally what you're going to want to do. So another thing to point out, you can see I'm in Radial with 4 slices. Place a block here. You'll see you're not actually getting what you might have expected. And it's because it's rotating the block itself. So actually what you want if you want this situation is you actually don't want that. You want the mirror mode, but you want it in X and Z. So let's try that. And then you'll see when we do mirror mode in X and Z, again, we're going to just lower that a little bit. Yep. You can see this is now giving you what you want, right? So you want the wall round the edge here. We could do, I don't think I even talked about this, quick replace. So you can see anyway, you can see obviously it's mirrored rather than the radial. And most of the time I think there are some other options as well that we could think about with regards to that. Because one of the things about the array is we spoke earlier on that this, we're just going to turn quick replace off. This is going to give us this diagonal look, right? Let's try it higher up. Let's just try and increase the volatility of that. And again, if you want to see that volatility increase, you need to go for the wall. And we want to actually make sure that our wall is a filled wall. So you can see how that is becoming increasingly offset, right? Let's take a look. Always best to switch it to normal, I've realized as well. So you can see the gap in the slices there. Okay, let's try and be a bit more functional there. So we're going to go back to 0 on these. So again, let's start. It's always a good point to start with just the one block. All right, so that's just one block in front on the X. So we're probably going to want to have a few blocks. And then we're going to want it to slightly deviate. So we'll go for wall. So let's just do a count of maybe 3 so we can see what the deviation level. Okay, so we could do something like that. What about that? So you can see that way you can actually connect up pieces of the wall. So this way, if you were building a larger structure, you could do the edges pretty well. Let's try that again, but again with the high values here. Make sure we haven't got that. Okay. So again, we're going to do so we'll try from there. So we could do maybe build it up like this. And just work within the boundaries of the wall, right? So that's another way you could do it. Again, let's try that one more time. Connect up the pieces. And we'll follow the curvature of the wall. Maybe we'll go a little bit higher this time. Just follow the curvature of the wall. So yeah, some pretty cool effects you can get there.